Welcome to Storytime. Piccolo is facing down the monster that has decimated the people of Ginger Town. He's been using his tail to suck them up, turning them into energy to speed his evolution. Everyone else notices his chi, which feels like it's a mix of Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and others. He surprises Piccolo by using a Kamehameha, and Piccolo allows him to absorb part of his arm, making this, for those keeping track, the fourth time at least that weird junk has happened to Piccolo's arm in this series. The monster gets its Bond villain on and explains its origins. Dr. Ghetto wanted to create a new kind of biological life form, combining the cells of the greatest warriors. But since it was taking too long, he had a computer take care of it for him. The monster, whose name is Cell, was completed many years later after 17 and 18 had killed everyone, so there weren't really a lot of people for him left to absorb. More importantly, to reach his perfect form, he needs to absorb 17 and 18 as well. But some young, upstart punk named Trunks had deactivated them by the time he awoke. Trunks was about to come back to this time to let everyone know he won, so Cell killed him and hitched a ride on his time machine instead. Okay, I know some of y'all were like, say what? Just now. This opens up two new timelines, Timeline C and D. Timeline C is a timeline where Trunks is the first time traveler to arrive, meaning he was in fact the one that created it. While there, he gets the blueprints for the shutdown controllers for 17 and 18 and brings them back to his Bulma, who successfully duplicates them, and thus the artificial humans are vanquished. Cell then emerges, kills Trunks, and takes his time machine. Originally, his destination is the same timeline Trunks had already been to, Timeline C, but because he goes a year early, he fractures it again, which gives us B. So when Trunks comes back the first time to B, the timeline has already been changed, and because of Cell's appearance, he's not going to go back to his time with the blueprints, but rather, spoiler alert, he's going to stay and train to fight Cell. Once he goes back to his future, he's not going to die this time, and thus we have our four timelines. I know it still might seem complicated and it's surprisingly hard to represent them using a 2D model, but this is for the most part what the official model looks like, so we're just gonna go with that. Time travel is just a mess in general, so we're lucky it didn't get any worse. Kuririn and Trunks both show up, so Cell uses the Taioken to run away and look for 17 and 18. Everyone heads to Dr. Ghetto's lab to destroy the embryonic cell so they won't have to deal with their own timeline's version later. Trunks heads off to train with Vegeta, who's aiming to surpass the Super Saiyan state. Goku, whose heart virus is healed, gets the same idea, and he wants to take Gohan to the Room of Spirit and Time, a place at Kami's Sanctuary where a year passes for every day on the outside. He lets Vegeta and Trunks know too and lets them go in first. Meanwhile, the rest of the fighters are chasing Cell, but he keeps hiding his chi and manages to absorb hundreds of thousands of people, which is grim even for Dragon Ball. The artificial humans are still trying to track down Goku, heading for Kame Island. Piccolo challenges 17 to buy some time, this time putting up a decent fight. Cell senses Piccolo's huge chi and heads over. Bulma gives Kuririn her new emergency shutdown controller that should take care of 17 and 18. Cell comes after the artificial humans, but though both 17 and Piccolo fight him, he's already grown in strength immensely. 16 reluctantly decides to fight even though he's only interested in fighting Goku, and turns out his power is almost equal to Cell's. Before they can stop him though, he sneaks up on 17 and absorbs him, evolving into a semi-perfect state, then wrecks 16 pretty bad. Tenshinhan, who has been watching from the sidelines, steps in and uses his new Shin Kikoho, an incredibly powerful attack but one that's even more draining on his life than before. Goku teleports in to grab Ten and Piccolo, who are both on the edge of death, and tells Cell if he's willing to wait one day they can have a really good fight. He brings them back to Kami's palace, where Vegeta and Trunks emerge from the Room of Spirit and Time. Bulma brings her own version of Frieza's armor for everyone to wear, though Piccolo's not really feeling it since it reminds him of, the genocide and all. Goku and Gohan go in while Vegeta and Trunks go to confront Cell. Vegeta reveals he has surpassed the Super Saiyan state, becoming a Super Saiyan Grade 2, which is really just a super buff Super Saiyan that's now on Cell's level. Kuririn shows up with a shutdown controller to deactivate 18 so she can't be absorbed, but he has a totally huge crush on her now and can't do it. Cell taunts Vegeta by saying that his perfect form would be even stronger, so of course Vegeta lets him absorb 18 and achieve his perfect state. Vegeta and Cell fight, and Vegeta can see that it's going to be rough, so he challenges Cell to a game of chicken, claiming that if he's not a loser, he won't dodge Vegeta's final flash. Somehow this actually works and he blows away a good chunk of Cell, but since he has Namekian DNA, he can regenerate. He quickly defeats Vegeta so Trunks tags in. He's secretly unlocked an even further evolved Super Saiyan Grade 3, which is even more ridiculously ripped than before. It sure looks great, but turns out all that extra mass kills your speed, which Goku explains to Gohan in the Spirit and Time Room as he's managed to unlock both levels as well. Goku decides that they should concentrate on mastering the first stage of the form so it will be more efficient. Trunks realizes he put too much stock in brute strength and knows he can't beat Cell. Intrigued by how much Trunks and Vegeta improved, Cell asks if they can get even stronger given more time. Cell decides he'll host a tournament in 10 days, where he'll be the only opponent. Everyone goes off to train, 16 going to Capsule Corp for repairs, while Cell declares to the world that if everyone loses to him in the tournament, he'll kill all of humanity. Goku and Gohan come out of the room, and everyone notices that they're super chill even though they're Super Saiyans. Goku visits Cell to check out the arena, and afterwards casually tells everyone he's probably not strong enough to beat Cell. He declines another trip to the room, claiming that they'll be fine, leaving everyone assuming that Goku has some mad secrets up his sleeve. He trains a bit more with Gohan, but mostly has them rest and hang out with Chi-Chi. After the army tries and fails to take out Cell, Goku decides he should probably get some more Dragon Balls, which means they need a new Kami. He teleports to the new Namek, where the Namekians who relocated are thriving. Our old buddy Dende volunteers, and Goku brings him back to Earth where he creates an upgraded set of the Dragon Balls that can grant 3 wishes. Though if you want to revive a lot of people at once, you have to use up 2 wishes to do it, and the rule about only being revived once still applies. It's finally time for the Cell game, and the first person to show up is a wrestler. His name is Mr. Satan, and he won the Grappling World Championship, which totally qualifies him to fight Cell now. Having never experienced the magic of ki attacks, he assumes Cell's abilities are all cheap tricks, and the world watches on while he agrees to take on the challenge. He hams it up a bit for the cameras, and everyone else shows up, but since they're not famous, no one cares. Satan attacks Cell but can't even touch him, so Goku goes next. As Goku and Cell fight, everyone's impressed except for Gohan, who assumes they're both holding back a lot. Gradually, it becomes clear that Cell has the upper hand, and he destroys the arena because he doesn't want anyone losing by ring out. Goku blows his top half away with a full power Kamehameha, but Cell just regenerates, though his chi does drop a bit. Suddenly, Goku surrenders the match, acknowledging he can't beat Cell. He then says he wants to pick the next fighter, and it'll end here since if they can't beat Cell, no one can. When he chooses Gohan, everyone loses their minds. They think Goku's gone crazy, but when he asks Gohan about his fight with Cell, it turns out Gohan only thought Goku was fighting at half strength because he's grown so strong he's on another level. To make it a fair fight, Goku tosses Cell a Senzu Bean, and Gohan faces down the monster. After demonstrating his power, Gohan tries to talk Cell down, because in the end he doesn't really want to fight, not the way his father and Vegeta do. He explains that his true power comes out only when he's angry, which is a mistake because now Cell wants to see it. He brutally attacks Gohan, and for a moment Goku doubts his plan is going to work and he's made a horrible mistake. Cell threatens the other, so 16 steps in. He has a bomb powerful enough to destroy Cell in his body, which is why Dr. Getter was so scared of him. Except, oops, Bulma and Dr. Reef kind of took it out of him when they repaired him. Cell blows 16 apart, then generates a bunch of tiny clones from his tail, each almost his equal in power. The Cell Juniors attack the Warriors, with only Trunks and Vegeta holding their own. Gohan desperately tries to access his hidden power, but it just isn't working. Number 16's disembodied head asks Mr. Satan to bring him over to Gohan, and he tells Gohan that it's not bad to lose control in a case like this where everyone is about to die. Cell smashes the head with his foot and Gohan finally loses it. Gohan suddenly transforms, going beyond the Super Saiyan into a new perfect Super Saiyan state with none of the drawbacks of the grade 2 and 3 forms. Gohan effortlessly destroys the Cell Juniors, then goes to work on Cell, who has finally been surpassed. After destroying most of Cell's body with a Kamehameha, Gohan allows him to regenerate, the new Super Saiyan form having given him the typical Saiyan pride and lack of good sense. Gohan punches Cell in the gut so hard he spits up artificial human 18, and reverts back to his second form. Desperate, he activates his self-destruct ability, growing to a huge size. The entire Earth is going to be destroyed, which makes Cell the worst loser ever. With no way to stop him, Goku decides he's got to step in. He suddenly says goodbye to everyone, praising Gohan and telling him to apologize to Chi-Chi. He teleports Cell to Kaio's planet, the only Chi he could latch onto where he could minimize casualties. Everyone is frozen with horror, especially Gohan, who feels responsible for letting Cell regenerate. Luckily, Cell was totally gone for good. Oh, except the part where he can regenerate as long as one tiny part of his brain remains intact, and his Saiyan DNA means he grows more powerful from almost dying, reaching a state similar to Gohan's new Super Saiyan form. He shoots Trunks through and Vegeta instinctively goes after Cell to avenge him. When Cell goes to blast Vegeta, Gohan steps in, injuring his arm and rendering it unusable. Cell prepares a Kamehameha to blow up the Earth, and Gohan doesn't think he can match it, but Goku talks to him from the afterlife to let him know he doesn't have to feel guilty, and that it's up to him to save everyone, since they can just restore everything with the Dragon Balls later. With Goku's faith behind him, Gohan launches into a one-armed Kamehameha, and the two attacks clash. Vegeta uses the last of his power to distract Cell so Gohan can stop worrying about holding back and get everything he has, and Cell is finally completely obliterated. Everyone flies back to Dende's palace, except for Vegeta, who flies off to brood about how our preteen totally surpassed him. Mr. Satan sees that Cell is gone and immediately takes the credit, becoming a worldwide hero. 18 is there too, and Kudiden tries to convince everyone to trust her, Gohan salting his game and saying out loud that he's got a crush on her. He laughs it off and leaves, though she comes back when she sees that they've summoned Shenlong. They bring back everyone killed by Cell, but Goku decides he doesn't want to come back, saying that Bulma was right in saying that he just attracts trouble. He's going to get to keep his body and stay with Kaio, who also doesn't get revived since he can just keep doing his job. For the second wish, Kudiden wants to make 17 and 18 human again, but Shenlong doesn't mess with science, so they settle for taking out their self-destruct devices. 18 sort of, almost kind of thanks him, then takes off again. Everyone separates. Piccolo decides to stay with Dende, and Gohan has to go deliver the bad news to Chi-Chi, who is overcome with grief. Trunks goes back to his future, now powerful enough to defeat his versions of 17 and 18. 3 years later, the time machine has enough power for him to come back to tell everyone that he won. And since he knows the Cell is coming this time, he can take care of him so he can't go back and create more messed up timelines, which I think we can all agree is a very good thing. Back in our timeline, a few years pass, and it's time for Gohan to face his greatest challenge of all, high school.